Hey guys, Jake here. What we're going to do today is we're going to fix a very common problem, especially if you have a puppy in the house. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this piece of furniture. This is a chair, and that was a puppy, and you could see what the puppy decided to do. By the way guys, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe. We have a lot of great videos coming up ahead. Alright, let's get started. So again, take a look at those teeth marks. See the little puppy there? He's all cute and everything, but gotta watch out. They cause damage. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this crossbeam from between the legs. Now if it's a leg, maybe you can't bring the entire chair into Home Depot, but in this case I just wanted to bring just this beam in, just this little crossbeam, just so I can match the color of stain. And so what I did is I took it with me to Home Depot, I held it up against the chart, and I went down until I found something that was pretty close. This is kind of a brown, and it looks like a paint, but it's really a stain. And once I found what I was looking for, I picked up this product called Varathane wood stain in the color called Kona. And before I went ahead and stained the wood, I wanted to test it on an area that was kind of inconspicuous, just to try to see how well it matched, and the end was a perfect spot for that. So I went ahead and kind of dabbed it there, dabbed it on the side. That's the part that fits into the chair leg, so even if it didn't match perfectly, I wasn't going to worry about it. You could see it's pretty close. Alright? There's a product here called Plastic Wood by DAP, and I've used it in the past. So basically you're going to use a wood filler. If it's just a scratch, maybe you can kind of, touch it up with some stain. But in this case, the dog was chewing on that leg for a while, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to basically make it smooth before I stained it. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that wood filler and you're going to spread it out. Now the trick is with this stuff is you want to kind of leave it kind of high, but not too high, because anything that you leave too high, after it dries, remember you have to sand it smooth. The main thing is you don't want to leave it low, because if you leave it low, then you're going to have these little divots in there, little craters in there, and then you're going to end up having to put a second coat on, and we want to kind of avoid that. So make it kind of high. You can move your finger, put your fingers on it to kind of spread the wood filler out, and don't be so concerned about the way it looks. It's not going to look pretty right now, but once it's sanded, it's going to be fine. It'll be ready for stain. The product generally takes, according to the package anyway, it takes 24, 36 hours to kind of set. This was after about 4 or 5 hours. What I did is I was able to kind of jam my fingernails into it, and it was kind of a little bit too soft for me to sand, so I decided I'd just wait until the next day. When it dries, it goes from a pink color to a white color, and that's when you know you're ready to sand. What I did is I started out with a kind of a heavier grit, and I lightly sanded. And after I got it down a little bit, then I went to a little bit of a finer grit and sanded it down a little bit more. Just bring it down very carefully. Don't get too crazy with it, because you don't want to make divots. And then once I got it a little bit lower, then eventually I was able to move on to even a finer grit, 220. And by the way guys, any of these products, I'm going to put a link in the description so you can pick this stuff up without having to expose yourself and to go into a store right now. But and I'm gonna find you the least expensive place to find these products, and I'm gonna put it on I'm gonna put it in the description, so don't worry. Once you get it down pretty thin, that's when you're gonna take a little brush just like that. It's kind of like a foam brush. You could probably use a paper towel or whatever. You're gonna take your stain and you're just gonna go over it. Alright? Then you're gonna wipe it away with a paper towel just to see how it kind of penetrates. That's the way stain works. You don't really paint it on. You kind of rub it on, then you kind of wipe it off. That way it has a more natural look. And if you have the grain, like the grain of the wood, it'll show up better. Once I stained it, kind of let it hang, let it dry for a while, an hour or two, and I took another look at it. I felt like it needed a little bit more stain, so that's when you could just go over it, paint it back on with that foam brush, and once you do that, you can go ahead and kind of buff it off again with a paper towel and see how it looks. The last step in this case is to hit it with a glaze, only because it was kind of glossy before. And so this is a product, and it puts a very, very light clear coat of glaze on it, and it looks a little better that way. That's the only reason. It probably adds a little protection to it as well, and you can see it's almost perfect. I mean, there's a couple of divots and stuff in the leg that were unassociated with what the dog did, but once you get that painted and sprayed with the clear coat, you can go ahead and put the leg back on, put the screws back in, and you're pretty much ready to go at that point in time. One of the things you can do once you have the stain in hand is you can walk around and kind of touch up some of the nicks and scuffs that you have on your furniture, since you know it's a perfect match. And it's just kind of like just wiping it into the wooden areas there a little bit that are kind of scuffed, and you can kind of touch up the rest of your furniture at the same time. But there you go. Looks practically like new. Pretty happy with the job. There's no reason to bring this to a furniture repair company or buy a new chair, and there's no reason to sit and look at that for a long time while you're just miserable. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helped. Please subscribe, please share, please give it a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Have a great day.